Hunter, or Hunted, is new Arachne Huntsman tech out of Super Slam. And while it's been a very, very welcome development to finally see the OG assassin creeping into the meta, as a card, Hunter or Hunted represents a very dangerous design space within the current state of Flesh and Blood. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my Flesh and Blood friends, and welcome back to the channel. I hope all is well with you all out there, especially considering that we basically just crossed the threshold into holiday season, based on what you celebrate or choose not to or whatever. It's definitely the holiday season, and that carries pluses and minuses, as it may be. So I hope that you're enjoying the pluses and avoiding the minuses, and either way, it's going to be a long couple of months either direction. But getting back to topic, today I do want to talk about the relatively new OG Arachne card, which is Hunter or Hunted here, and why, as cool as this card is, I actually believe that it represents a very dangerous design space within the current approach of hero design for the game. Now, look, before we get into this, just hold your dislike buttons, Huntsman fans, okay? Let's be 100% clear here. No one actually has a problem with OG Arachne finally being in a better position. He's been around for, just shy of 3 years now. Actually, that's exactly true. Just shy of 3 years, because it was released at Dynasty, which was last time we were in the Worlds in the US, in North America. So yeah, 3 years ago. Right in Dynasty, yeah. That's actually true, just 3 years ago. But either way, despite getting, a fair number of toys in the time since, let's be honest, OG Arachne here really hasn't made a ton of waves. So let's be clear, no one here has any issues with Huntsman getting new strong toys that improve their position. But the strong toy I'm specifically talking about is this one, which is Hunter or Hunted, an expansion slot card out of Super Slam. Now, there's a lot of text on this boy here, but this is a blue defense reaction that defends 4, but you got to pay 3 for it. But when this defends, name a card. The attacking hero reveals the top card of their deck. If it's the named card, banish it, search their hand and arsenal for up to 3 cards with that same name and banish them. Then they shuffle. But it also has contract, which is very important, very, very, very important for OG Arachne. While this is defending, you are contracted to banish opponent's cards with a chosen name. Whenever you complete the contract, create silver. So basically, right, this is doing everything that Huntsman wants. Minus the paying 3 for it part, of course. But come on, it's a blue defense 4, right? Anyway, really good with Arachne Huntsman because it has contract. And remember, whenever you play a card with contract, you can look at the top card of the deck, meaning with this particular hero only, you will know with utmost I guess you could in theory bottom it and call, but you're going to know with 100% certainty what your option is for top deck. I guess that's the way to say it, right? So this is a really, really cool card because it is very strong, but it works specifically with this particular hero. So Andrew, why then is this dangerous design? Why are you saying this is dangerous design? That doesn't make any sense, right? So what this represents is non-interactive deck destruction, which again, in a vacuum is fine and not really a problem. But when you also combine that with the recent shifts in hero design philosophy that we've seen last year and a half to 2 years, or basically since heavy hitters. So yeah, miss, fail, forward, right? And, I think that's fair. I think it's miss, fail, forward. I think is correct, right? That is where I think the risk comes in. So in order to really understand what I'm talking about here, I want to talk about the heroes of the past episode. I'll link it up there. Actually, as a side note, I thought this was a really good episode. I put a lot of work into this one because I thought it was really important. It didn't do very well, which I think speaks a lot towards, kind of myself and my approach on this channel and why I appreciate so much those of you who do get what we try to do here, because this was a really, really good video in terms of boiling down the change in where we're at now versus where we used to be and how things evolve. But All that aside, because you're joining me here, let's do a quick TLDR, which is that, in the last 2 years, let's just say post heavy hitters, whatever it may be, in the later part of the game where we are right now, there's been a shift in hero design philosophy such that many of the heroes have very specific design pairings. And, to highlight that, if you look at like a Bravo, for example, like an OG Bravo, right? OG Bravo, sure, he has key cards that work with him, like Crippling Crush and stuff, but like he doesn't need that to work. Whereas if you look at who we're going to talk about next, which is Azalea doesn't really work without the specific cards he has at his advantage. And that is where, hopefully you're picking up on what I'm laying down here. That's the crux of this issue. That's why I think this is a really dangerous card paired with their current design philosophy of making very specific tools for very specific heroes into that niche, right? So let's go ahead and look at Azalea. Now, Azalea is very much a combo type hero. What he's looking to do is, put in cards like key cards like Sigil of Brilliance, pop it back to hand for the card draw, and then do a big pop-off setup, do a setup for a big pop-off turn with like Gone in Flash, Blast Oblivion, doing all sorts of things to get the advantage, but it's mostly a big turn, right? So Azalea really doesn't function without his big cards like Sigil of Brilliance and Gone in a Flash. And even if we are to go over to someone like Verdance, right, which is one of the meta leaders right now, let's really think about what Verdance is trying to... Now, sure, she's gotten certainly more tools. In fact, I'd argue that I'm a little surprised at the concentration of 3/6s, but we go astray, right? But if you look at what she's trying to do, or at least what she was originally designed to try and do, you had Rampant Growth Life, right? And that was kind of like her thing, was to gain some life, throw some pings with Pulse of Candlehold, whatever it may be, but really try and do like that pop off, go over the top, and then put you into kill range, right? But if you look at really what she's trying to do right now, if you snipe any of her key cards, which could be, there are certain builds that aren't really even doing the Rampant Growth Life thing right now, right? So if you snipe out a Light Up the Leaves or a Burn Bear, like, that's pretty massive in turn. And remember, we're not sniping one, we're sniping all of them. So that's a pretty big deal, even to someone who is arguably like the best in the meta, like Verdance, right? So this is very interesting to me because, as I mentioned with, again, the Echoes of the Past thing, if the future of hero design really continues in this vein, in that we're trying to pair heroes with very specific, slotted, siloed, with air quotes, design, if you supply a tool that can go in and just snipe those cards, that's actually pretty dangerous from a balance perspective, right? Because what it does is it results in a huge amount of variability with a pretty substantial penalty, right? So let's say you're OG Arachne, you're Huntsman, playing this. Sure, you might flip a worthless card. And then what are you going to do? You're like, oh, okay, I know that Verdant, so I know Azalea needs Gone with Flash. So you contract, it's not Gone with Flash. Do you take the risk and just do the next card and call it? You probably don't, right? But then go back on the other side. You top deck Gone in a Flash on like turn 1 or turn 2 when they're attacking with Blast Oblivion or something like that, and you just take their Gone in a Flashes, and like, that's just game over, right? So that's a lot of potential variability in a game that has largely touted itself as being not that. Now, sure, there's been arguments for and against in the last little bit. I completely acquiesce that, right? But I still believe in my heart that this is the best game out there in terms of like gameplay and stuff like that. And from a competitive standpoint, maybe not even let's take the competitive part out, right? But in terms of like you're rewarded for making smart decisions, I still believe Flesh and Blood to be the best game in the market for that, right? So then when you introduce a card like this that could just potentially snipe out how a deck works, that's very, you have to admit that's very interesting, right? And that's very, puts the hairs up on the back of my neck. That's all I say, right? So if you have this card where if you draw it early and you get lucky, it just ends the game. That doesn't seem super flesh and bloody to me. Now, I want to, again, let's bring us back to why the OG Huntsman people shouldn't be hating on me right now. I'm not trying to take away your toys. I'm really not. I'm fine with the Huntsman deck. Like, I think it's really cool. I think it's fine that he's finally there. Like, I don't have a problem with this card. But what I'm trying to say is that this type of design combined with the other design that we have in play right now, which is very specific silo designed heroes that are supposed to do a very specific thing. If a hero is supposed to do a very specific thing, and you also supply a way for other heroes to snipe away a specific thing, well, that's not necessarily rewarding smart decisions anymore in the broader sense. So, I don't know. Now, I want to, again, back to the disclaimer part. If such a card needs to exist, putting it in the grindy deck tech assassin and having it functionally mostly, I mean, it's not a spec, and actually if it was a spec, there would still be plenty of other people that could play it, right? But putting in the grindy deck tech is the right place to put it. So if they limit it to this, it's fine. But remember, that's kind of like one of the like card design fallacy traps is like, you know what, we're going to be able to control this. It'll only be here. And then 4 or 5 sets later, 3 years later, whatever it may be, there's 5 of them, right? Example being, I'll put it up again, Burn Bear. We would never print I mean, to be clear, they never said this. Like, I'm back on the screen, right? They never said this, but I've said before, as long as they maintain the 2/5 cap, things should be okay with Arcane. And they're like, you know what, it'll be okay. We'll do a 2 or we'll do a 3/6, but it won't be able to pitch. Well, now there's another one, but it's talented. But again, the door's been opened. How long until we have a generic 3/6? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I think you pick up what I'm laying down. This is a very dangerous card in terms of opening the door to direct. I mean, if you can completely, if you get lucky turn 1, turn 2, and you snipe what a deck's supposed to do, because that's the deck's only play, like Azalea, I don't know that that's peak flesh and blood design. But we will see. I have a lot of faith in the designers. You know I do. That's why I'm still here. But this one makes me say, ooh, interesting. Anyway, that's it for me today. Let me know what you think, and go Commando.